Welcome to the Real Estate Niche Show, a show that focuses on top real estate professionals who specialize in different niches of real estate. My name is Ben Kogut. Join me as we dive deep into the professional and personal lives of the experts of the real estate industry. Welcome to the Real Estate Niche Show. I'm your host, Ben Kogut, and I am super excited for our guest today, Jason Dillard. Jason is a partner at DHP Real Estate and a business coach. As a South Carolina native, he started investing in real estate over 20 years ago and is passionate about helping people find creative solutions to their real estate problems. DHP RE currently owns and or manages over 400 single and multifamily units in South Carolina. DHP is owned by Exultant LLC. In the last 20 years, they have closed over $75 million in transactions, have built over 80 single-family homes, and currently manages over 300. They have developed one subdivision and are in the middle of 5 more. I definitely want to hear about that. They bought, rehabbed, and sold over 450 homes and currently own over 100. So they have owned 7 commercial properties and 8 multifamily complexes. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the Real Estate Show. How are you feeling today?
If I felt any better, there'd have to be 2 of me.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add to that bio right there, that intro?
I'm an exchanger. We're exchangers. We're always looking to increase the benefits and what we have by trading into something that has better benefits. So that's something I would add. That bio is about a year old.
Mm-hmm.
So those subdivisions are done except for one. So
nice. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'd like to kind of take a little bit of a step back and see if you could share a little bit more about your history, about how you got into this real estate business and this niche in particular.
Well, I had no idea I was going to be in real estate. I came from the investment side instead of the real estate agent side. I had someone give me a tape set of No Money Down, Carlton Sheets about 23 years ago. Wow. And I listened to the tapes and got intrigued and started making offers and had to get help to buy some houses. And that's how I got started. So I kind of fell in love with it, turned into a seminaraholic. And I attend seminars even to this day. So it's an exciting business. And I basically became unemployable in about 2 years. You know what unemployable is, right?
Tell me.
Unemployable is when even if somebody offers you a job making a ton of money, you just don't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you enjoy what you're doing so much that you would prefer continuing doing what you're doing.
I get that about you for sure, that you really love what you're doing, and I think you also love the people that you get to work with. And so maybe could you share a little bit about your business partner and how you guys got to be together?
Well, I met my business partner's name is Tracy, and he needed to sell a house. And I was the guy in our market that knew how to get creative and buy houses. The ad that he called to sell his house got the normal cash buyer guy, and they couldn't help him. So they referred him to me. And when I met him at his property, my phone just kept ringing. I just fired my assistant. I was slammed busy. He was looking for something new to do, and I helped him get his house sold, but also basically hired him on the spot to be an employee. And when the recession hit and we had to scale back, I'm like, dude, if you want to be my partner in a company that who knows what's going to happen with it, you're welcome to have it. And he did. So we worked side by side, made it through the recession, and the rest is history. So yeah, but just bumped into him trying to sell a house. He was trying to sell his house. So
nice. And I know that you guys have worked on some subdivision projects, which is definitely a unique niche. Can you tell us a little bit how you got into that business?
Well, as a house flipper, when the market's slow, we would try to find some scattered lots and hire a builder or partner with a builder. And that part of our business has just grown. And since we have a really strong market right now, we're focused on still finding houses to flip. But today we have about 11 going, 9 are new construction and 2 are flips. So our partners, that builder partners, came to us about 4 or 5 years ago and said, well, we can do this on a larger scale. We can develop neighborhoods. So I raised the money to buy the land and develop the neighborhoods. And we started actually developing the neighborhood and selling the lots to other builders. And some other neighborhoods we developed that we stayed in and built the houses and sold them out.
Can you talk a little bit about how you went about raising the capital?
People. We borrow money from people in their retirement accounts. So the banks aren't what we like to use unless it's a cash flowing hold in a bigger transaction. Everything we do that's a development project or a house flip or anything, it comes from private lenders that lend us money, and they've known us for years, and we can borrow the money from the same people over and over again and get the purchase and the remodel or the development done. And the investors in their IRAs, depending on where the money's coming from, they get a good return, get a first mortgage, and it's a safe way for them to make a good return. And it's helpful for us because we can borrow money quicker without jumping through the hoops that a bank would require, and not have to make payments a lot of times on development projects. It just accrues, and it helps us grow quicker, not having a payment on a deal. We can do as many deals as we can find if we don't have to make debt service on the deals. So that's something I learned a while back. So, it's cheaper to not make a payment, and you can grow quicker.
Got it. Why? So I love that strategy. Why do you think more people don't do that?
They just don't think of it. They don't think of it, and they don't realize that they can ask their private sources to allow them not to make that payment. And I just have mentioned that to everybody that I meet. If we've got cash flowing property that you're going to get a mortgage against, we're going to send you a payment. If it's something that's not cash flowing, we're going to fix it up. We're going to develop it. You're just going to accrue. And a lot of the investors that are taking money out of a CD, they didn't get a payment. They got a lump sum in a year or two. And if they're using their retirement accounts, well, that's growing. And there's a number on a sheet of paper they may get once a month from a brokerage house that shows them how much it went up or down. Whereas if we give them a mortgage with a fixed return, well, it's just going up every month. We just owe them more every month. You just have to be careful and make sure that what they lend you is way less than what the value of the real estate is, so that when you actually sell it, your interest doesn't outrun how much the value of the property is.
Got it. So people are using retirement accounts, personally lending you the money. If the deals are cash flowing, then you'll make a distribution. If the deals are not cash flowing, then you'll arrange ahead of time that the amount of money will accrue instead. And since people are using retirement accounts, they may be indifferent to that because they're not going to touch that money for a long period of time anyways. And
exactly. Unless they happen to be 71, if they're older, they may need to take some money out and do some required minimum distributions, which we've made that mistake before. We put some money in a property that wasn't going to sell, and all of a sudden they turn 70 to 72 now, I think, and they had to take some money out. So we had to send them some interest so they'd have the money in their retirement account to be able to take it out, because what was in their account is just a note and mortgage. They have a note and first mortgage secured by real estate in their retirement account instead of a mutual fund or a bond or an annuity.
Yes, I have one of those notes since you and I got to do one of those deals. And
you get a payment every month, don't you?
I do get a payment every month, and I'm very happy with the deal that we did. And I'd like to hear from you to maybe teach other people about how to go about doing that, how to use an IRA account to lend out of that. What are the steps that somebody might need to take in order to do something like that?
Well, you want to know pretty sure that you're going to do something that's stock market related before you move your account to another custodian or administrator, because the self-directed custodians / administrators won't give you an asset to invest in. You will have to tell them what you want to invest in. So don't make the mistake of getting excited and moving your money to an administrator and then it just sit in cash and go down in value. So that's the first steps to make sure you really want to move it. And then once you actually open the account with the new custodian, they request the money to be sent to them. And then after that, you direct it. You tell it what to do. You tell it to invest in a note and mortgage. You tell it to invest in real estate. You tell it to invest in a truckload of tires. I mean, I had a buddy of mine that bought a truckload of a huge 18-wheeler truckload of tires. Then he sold them on eBay 4 at a time. Now, he could have done that with his retirement account. But he did it with his money, but he could have done that with his retirement account. So there's a list of things the IRS says you can't invest in, and a list of people you can't buy or sell or lend to in your family. But everything else is fair game.
Got it. Let's shift a little bit. Can you describe a very difficult situation that you have either made a mistake in or that you had to overcome, and kind of tell us about the process that you went through to overcome that situation?
I had a house that we fixed up to sell in 2008, and it was the biggest house in the neighborhood, and we made it the prettiest, and it didn't sell. And we were stubborn. We had an offer that would have got us break even, and we didn't take it. And then the market continued to go down, and everything was falling apart. We're running out of cash. We were struggling. And I had a private lender that had invested his money in that deal, and he needed to get paid back. So we finally got an offer that was less than what we owed him. And at the time, if I got an offer that's less than what I'm owed today, I just write a check and make it up. We don't have to worry about it. But back then, we were really, really tight. So I had to meet with the investor and give him as much money as I could. And then I gave him a mortgage against something else I owned for the difference, and started making payments on that. So that was a really a smart way to get your guy paid back without paying him back all at once. And he was very happy because everybody knew that we were in a recession. The whole world knew it. So the fact that I met with him and explained to him what we were going to do, gave him a mortgage against something else to make up the difference. I think I was about 30 grand short. And praise the Lord, it wasn't the first time he lent me money. Had lent and paid him back, lent and paid him back 3 or 4 times, and everything had gone great. If that had been the first time, he may have been more apt to get aggravated with me. But he was pleased that I've eventually got him paid back. So that was something that we did that's creative, that just got him paid back. And if that had been a bank, you wouldn't have been able to work with the bank to help with getting that part of a partial payment done in a bank taking a mortgage against something else. So that's why friends don't let friends do business with banks if they can help it.
That's a great quote right there. Was that mortgage, was that on a free and clear property that you owned, or was that a second on something else?
You know what? It was really simple because he had another loan on another property that was going great.
So anyways, I want to hear the rest of that story. So what was the story with that second, that mortgage that you ended up providing to him?
It worked out good because he had another loan on another property that we did have a ton of equity in. So we added, instead of him getting a second or not having anywhere to go, we actually added 30 grand to what we owed on a different property. And
got it. So
when that property sold, he got his money.
Got it. So he had a mortgage somewhere else because you had a previous relationship, and you were just able to increase the amount of that piece because there was already equity there. And so he was secure in a secured position. Was it dollar for dollar, or did he get any kind of premium for having to hassle with that?
No, he just got dollar for dollar. So the 30 grand that I couldn't afford to give him then, we added that to the note on another property, and that property was it wasn't the big house it wasn't the biggest house in the neighborhood. It was a smaller house and it had more equity. So when that one sold, we got him paid. So we were able to get, he kept earning his interest on what he didn't get the 30 grand. And when that other house sold, he got his interest and his money, and he took all my profit in the next one, but at least I got him paid back.
Got it. Making them whole is what's most important, protecting investors' capital. So everyone out there listening, like, that is a creative formula that Jason Dillard was able to create in a sticky situation. Jason, what would you say is the number one contribution to your success?
Putting action behind your knowledge. I mean, that is, so many people will attend the class or read a book or learn how to do something, and they just never use that knowledge and put it to work. I mean, when I first started buying real estate, my goal was to make 100 offers a week. And it was back when we used to feed the fax machine to get an offer presented to another broker. And, your 6-page contract, you would spend a long time getting that to go through. And we never made 100 offers in a week, ever. But I made 60, I made 70. And
wow,
it snowballs. If the more offers you make to buy property or to raise money or to JV with other people or whatever you're trying to accomplish, the odds are higher that you're going to succeed. So we put the action behind our knowledge and continuing to gain knowledge. I'm not that bright. I know what I know, but I know that there's a lot of things I don't know. So I'm willing to continue to learn.
Well, to that point, making offers, and I know that you recently taught a course. Can you tell us a little bit about the course and maybe what are the takeaways that you really wanted people to have after having taught the course?
Well, the name of the course is Paper on Steroids, and most real estate investors use paper to some degree. But
what is paper? When you say
paper is an agreement between a borrower and a lender. And it's normally has a note, which is a promise to pay. And a lot of times in real estate, it's secured by a deed of trust or a mortgage, so that if the borrower doesn't pay, then the lender can take it away. And that paper is created between a borrower and a lender. And most of the time you think of paper, you think of banks. And most paper that banks create has to fit inside a bank's box. Certain credit score, certain loan to value, certain interest rate, certain length of time. But when you're dealing with individuals, you can create paper that has any kind of terms. It could have payments, no payments. It could have low interest rate, high interest rate. It could have no payments for a while. You could even get the lender to make payments to the borrower, which is a reverse mortgage. So you can get creative using paper and use that to buy real estate from someone else by giving them paper. One of my favorite strategies is to give somebody paper secured by another property and the rest cash for their assets.
Can you explain that?
Well, let's say you have $1 million property and I want to buy it from you, I might offer you $500,000 in cash and $500,000 in paper that's secured by another property that I already own. So instead of me having to go out and raise $1 million to get you your money, I only have to raise $500,000, and I could even borrow that maybe against your property I'm buying from you. And then I just give you a mortgage and a note secured by something I already own. And then it's safer for the seller because now they have a first mortgage on another asset that has cash flow instead of asking them to do a second. A lot of investors will go out and say, well, I'll give you, $800,000 in cash if you'll take a second for $200,000. Well, that's riskier for the seller because what if the bank takes the property? They're going to wipe out the second.
Right.
But if you offer them $500,000 cash and $500,000 first, secured by another property that's worth $1 million, the bad thing that can happen is they get ownership of a property that's worth twice as much as what they have in it. So it's not so bad if things go bad. So they're more likely to take that offer And plus the cash is easy for you to raise as the borrower because you can borrow it against the asset you're buying. So you just got to get that first $1 million property paid off, Ben. Then you use the strategy over and over again.
Got it. Everyone, if you didn't follow what Jason was saying, rewind that, listen to those words again. And if you really want to learn this, seek out Jason Dillard and take his paper on steroids class. It's one of the best classes I've ever personally taken. So yes, moving on. Here are some of the questions that I like to fire off to people, which is, what is the first or worst job that you've ever had?
The first job I ever had was hauling hay. I was 15 years old, and I made $3 an hour, cash. They didn't take out taxes or nothing, Ben. So I worked 10 hours, I made $30. And when you haul hay, you walk out in the field and you pick the square bales up and you throw them on the truck.
Wow.
Out in the middle of the summer, and you stack them up and take them to the barn and stack them in there, and you do that all day long. So,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, was that the worst job also you ever had?
I don't think that was the worst job I had. I had I managed a bunch of, when I was in college, we took on cleaning up. I went to Clemson, and I took on cleaning up after the basketball games as a side job, and we had to clean the building. And the students in different groups, I would get them to help clean the building. That was terrible because you can't clean a building. It's not like it's outside. You got to clean every speck of the building, and that was no fun. And you had to do it right after the game ended and work all night long. That wasn't like Christmas one bit, or Hanukkah.
There you go. How do you invest in yourself?
Well, I just continue to learn, and try to do your best to build up your assets that are safe. And I think, and it's hard for young investors. 5 years ago, I would never pay cash for something and not leverage it, because why would I do that? I can continue to grow. But we just had a 1031 exchange where we had 2.2 million that I needed to place, and we placed half of that into free and clear property, which feels weird for me because I've had other people provide the money for everything I own almost all the time. And to own $1 million worth of free and clear property, and it feels strange, but it's a safety thing. So the benefit I'm getting for that asset is it's a safe cash flow. It's not a high cash flow. It's a safe cash flow. So the older you get, the gray hairs and no hair people want safety, and they don't want return as much. Safety, the return of your equity is more important than the return on your equity. And that's hard to understand when you're young, because when you're young, the return of what you're making, your IRRs and your cap rates and everything's important. But when you get older, if you know for sure you're going to get your equity back because you own something that's not going to go down in value, that's got an intrinsic value that's hard to put a number on.
Love that. Return of capital is more important than return on capital, depending on where you are in your journey, on your financial journey.
And what pot you're putting your cash in. One of our Ted Blank, for example, when I was talking to him about what to do with his cash, he's like, well, if I was you, and of course, when he says, if I was you, because he's 30 years older than me and he's way more successful than me, he's like E.F. Hutton. I'm listening. If I was you, I would take half the money and put it in something not risky and not leverage, and I'd take the other half of the money and I'd buy something and lever up and get a really good return and start doing that on everything. So I just did what he taught me, and which is my success story. I went to a seminar, did what the guy taught me. I read a book, did what the book taught me. I'm compliant in my, I just believe it'll work if I just do it. And if it didn't work the first time, we just made enough offers till it worked.
Got it. Shifting to, how do you invest in the community or the world?
Well, I'm a teacher. So the first thing that pops in my head is I'm a giver. We just got back from the NCE meeting, and I was telling some friends that I basically went out there and taught a class and then taught pieces of the class for 3 more days, because people would stop me one-on-one that I have no reason to believe that I'm going to make any money from. I'm not getting paid to help them, but I'm willing to give them as much as I can because somebody else taught me. And if I can teach them, then I'm giving back. And it's just, we need people to be willing to give back without expecting anything in return. So it was weird. At the meeting, the first day I made it through the first half of the day, and I saw all the other presentations. But then after that, I got called in the hallway. I didn't get to hear any of the presentations the second day or the third day almost at all, because I'd get called in the hall and I'd start answering questions. I'd start working deals, helping people, and which was really fun, but I didn't get to hear 2/3 of the other opportunities that were there because I was out helping folks try to understand what I thought I taught them on Monday.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of everybody that was there, we thank you for all that help and sharing of that wisdom. Shifting to one of the last questions, which is, how does Jason Dillard define success?
If your family's happy. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I've got kids, I got family, I got parents, I got my wife. If they're happy, that's successful for me. You know, and doing things with your time that can keep you and your family happy. I mean, and Ben, I've told you this before. If you call me in the afternoon and I don't answer the phone, I probably turned it off. I'm taking a nap, which is, I could make more money. I could bring more home. I could do more transactions. But COVID has made it where I love working from home. I used to hate working from home. Now I love it. I'm sitting in my office right now, and this afternoon, there's a strong chance if I get sleepy, I can just turn my phone off and take a nap. I don't have to do anything. And I would rather make half as much money and have the ability to do what I want to do. My wife and I are going to Tampa in a couple of weeks for a week. We're just going. I don't have to ask off. I didn't put in and make sure I had enough days left to get down there. My real estate investing allows me to be passive enough to take a week. Now, I can't take a month off. If I take a month off, some things might happen in my office that I kind of need to still watch. I'm not quite there to take a whole month off, but I can take a week off and to make it the same amount of money that week as I'd have made if I was at home managing the folks in my office and taking all the calls. So that, to me, that's more important. You know, money ain't everything. It's right up there with air. You need it, but it's not everything. Time is more important than money.
On that note, time is more important than money. Keeping your family and yourself happy. I mean, these are true values that I'm glad you shared. Can you share with us what's the best, if someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you?
You can email me. It's probably the best way. It's jason@dhpre.com.
Awesome.
Our company is DHP Real Estate. So it's dhpre.com.
Got it. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Go Tigers. Even though we're losers, we're not winning this year.
Yeah.
The other thing that I enjoy is Clemson football. So I've had a good run for 10 years. So this year is not as good, but hey.
Understood. Yeah, normally we see you wearing a Clemson hat. So
I'm sporting the SEC hat today.
So Society of Exchange Counselors hat. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, let's wind down this episode of the Real Estate Niche Show. And just wanted to thank you again for your time and asking everybody in the audience to subscribe. I'm going to try to get this up and running to bring on more incredible guests like Jason Dillard. And on that note, thanks again. And I look forward to seeing you at the next SCC meeting.
I'll be there.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Estate Niche Show. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me or the show, you can follow me on Instagram at Ben Kogut and at The Real Estate Niche Show. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.